Baddies, it's your girl Bevy, and today I'm gonna answer a question that I am getting a lot of in my comments. So instead of just answering the question to everybody individually, I decided to just go ahead and create a video, because obviously if this many people are asking this question, then many of you, if not most of you, have the same question. And that question is, after you stop taking supplements or after you stop using serums, are you going to experience hair loss or shedding? Meaning, if you're taking these hair loss supplements and serums to quote unquote treat your hair loss, are you on them forever? And if you stop taking them, are you going to return to quote unquote baseline meaning how you were before you started treatment, or are you going to just lose all your hair? And it's not a simple answer, unfortunately. It's not a yes or a no answer, right? And that's why I need to answer it in video form. So let's just jump right in, because I have a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna focus mainly on supplements, because I get it more for supplements than I do for serums. A few here and there, but it's almost the same concept. And so let's talk about it. So the answer is, it depends. It really does depend on the type of hair loss supplement that you're using and / the ingredients in the serum. The thing is, there's something called the mechanism of action. And what that means is how a product works. Two products can have the same objective or the same goal, but they work differently to get there. I'll give you an example. So there's ibuprofen and there's acetaminophen. These two are pain relievers and fever reduction medications. While they both work to do the same thing, they get there differently, okay? Now, don't ask me what the mechanism of action is for either one of these, because I just really don't know. Just keep it in a buck. The point is, it all depends on so many different things. It depends on the person's body. It depends on all these different things, which one is better for that person. So you have people that are diehard Tylenol fans, and you have people that are diehard Motrin fans, right? They'll swear by Motrin and some will swear by Tylenol. There's really no right or wrong answers. Okay. What type of, virus or illness or sickness or whatever you may or may not have, depending on the way that mechanism of action works, okay? I'm just gonna give you an example, because I don't know, so please don't come for me in the comments like that's not how they work. I'm just giving you an example. So let's just assume that ibuprofen works directly by going to the source of the problem, right? They're both pills that you have to ingest, so they both work systemically, but I'm just giving you an example. So let's just assume that ibuprofen / Motrin goes directly to the source of the problem, whereas Tylenol goes a roundabout way, goes throughout the whole body first and treats the entire body, and as a result of treating the entire body, it's helping whatever the issue is. Again, this is just an example. So that's how it works with these supplements, okay? There are some supplements that work to grow your hair by activating your anagen phase, right? So there's different phases in the growth cycle. There's the Anagen, the Catagen, and the Telogen phase. I talk about these all the time. Anagen phase, for those of you who are brand new to class and you've never been here before, simply means that you are in growth phase, okay? Your growth phase is plugged on, it's plugged in, and you're growing, right? Your hormones and everything else right now is basically conspiring for your hair to grow. Everything is working. This phase is really activated a lot in pregnant women when they're pregnant, because that's when their hair grows on super growth mode, etc. Catagen is when your hair is just resting on the follicle. It's not growing, it's not shedding, it's just chilling, because it's awaiting its shed. And shed is telogen. Telogen is when your hairs are now shedding. Keep in mind that your follicles are not all in the same phase at the same time. Otherwise, all your hair will fall out at the same time and all your hair will grow at the same time. But the majority of your hair is in one phase than the other, okay? These are all natural phases, but telogen effluvium is excessive shedding, and that basically just means that your hair is shedding excessively, and that's not natural, that's not normal. They say you're supposed to shed 100 strands of hair per day. Who's counting counting, but we all know when it looks like most of our hair is falling out, okay? So telogen effluvium, an example of that is postpartum hair loss, because now, you know, the hormones that were conspiring to help to protect you, the baby, and deliver all those nutrients that were also helping your hair grow and stay activated in anagen phase is the same, you know, is the same hormones that now dipped. They dropped significantly. Now there was a shock to the body, stress from giving birth, all these different changes. Some of us are we're deficient in nutrients because we're trying to lose weight, we're breastfeeding, and we're not, you know, we're not treating ourselves properly. And so all these different things are now happening, and boop, we shed a lot of hair, some of us more than others, etc. Okay? So I always say the key to hair growth is activating the anagen phase and then elongating that anagen phase, which you know, supplements like Vivisecal is good for activating the anagen phase, okay? That is, Vivisecal is the main culprit for this, right? You take Vivisecal and you go in super growth mode. Like I've said in many videos, Vivisecal is good for growing your hair out, not necessarily filling your hair in. So if you're looking for density and thickness, Vivisecal is not your girl, but it will grow your hair really fast. The problem with Vivisecal is that unfortunately, because it's activating the anagen phase, when you stop taking it, then you basically, not prematurely, but then you quickly go into the next phase because you're no longer in anagen, and then you're going to notice some shedding because you go into anagen. Now, because now you're going into telogen. Here's the important part, right? And then I'm going to go into the different types of supplements and how they work, etc. Here's the very important part that you need to understand. Regardless of what you take, and this is the same thing for minoxidil with hair supplements. If you're with hair serums, right? If you're taking minoxidil by itself, or there's a serum that has minoxidil in it, yes, there are studies that show once you stop taking minoxidil, because it also activates the anagen phase, that is what it's mainly known to do. Once you stop taking it, you're gonna see that shedding, right? Because you have all these, you're basically prematurely, or you're kind of putting yourself in a stage that your hair probably isn't going to be to get it to grow, like, you know, to get it to grow, to accelerate its growth, which is great. But then when you stop using it, now it's like, all right, well, it's time to go quickly into Catagen, which Catagen doesn't last long. You're basically going into the shedding phase, and you start noticing a whole bunch of shedding. And so a lot of us are like, or a lot of people are like, don't use minoxidil because you're gonna lose all your hair. That may or may not be the case. Here's the problem, okay? Let's talk about the underlying condition. Hair loss within itself is an inflammatory response to something else, to an underlying condition. Hair loss is just a symptom of something else that's going on. It doesn't have to be chronic. It doesn't have to be anything to that terminal. It can literally be transient, meaning it's temporary, like postpartum hair loss. It could be stress. It could be environmental factors, chemicals, hard water. It can be that your iron is low, your ferritin is low. It could be that you have nutritional deficiencies. So it could go from a mild problem or mild concern to an overall big problem, right? It can be an autoimmune problem. God forbid, it could be cancer. You don't know. That's why do not throw pots at the wall and hope that one stick. I always recommend that you go see a dermatologist, get a scalp evaluation, and figure out what is wrong with you. Ask your dermatologist for a biopsy. Yes, it's invasive. A scalp biopsy they're going to be able to put that under a microscope, and there's a number of different things that they're going to take into consideration to figure out what is exactly wrong with you, and they can confirm a diagnosis and then put you on a growth plan. Not every dermatologist is good. Not every dermatologist specializes in hair and hair loss, and then not every dermatology specializes in hair and hair loss in people of color. So I know it's a challenge, but please comment down below if you're looking for a dermatologist. I got a plug and I can help you guys, okay? As long as you live in the US, okay? So anyway, moving along. So even if I don't say it in every video because I forget and I blabber, I should have somewhere in my disclaimer that everything I'm saying to you, I recommend that first and foremost, you go and see a dermatologist. So before you just start taking every supplement that I recommend, go see a dermatologist. Make sure that you're not on any medications that's going to interact with those supplements, because yes, supplements do interact with medications. And also, not for nothing, but if you got something else going on, a supplement is really not going to help you. Let's keep it above. A supplement is only going to support everything that you're doing, because when it comes to hair growth and when it comes to treating hair loss is a multifactorial approach, and what that means is there's many steps that you have to take simultaneously for it to be effective. So going back to the point with minoxidil and something like Viviscal, if you only take these serums and you only take the supplement and you think that is a genie in a bottle and you think is a magic beanstalk and you think that it's just gonna automatically just make everything great, you're absolutely wrong. Now, yes, you're gonna be happy because you're gonna see some immediate results, but then it's not sustainable, right? And then you either have to keep taking them to keep those results, or when you stop taking them, because we're human and we don't do things forever, then guess what? You're gonna see the hair loss and you're gonna get frustrated and you're gonna be like, it didn't work. No, sis, it's not that it didn't work. It's that you didn't address the underlying condition. Address the underlying condition. If you have a thyroid problem, if you have iron deficiency, if you have nutritional deficiencies, if you have a number of different issues going on at one time, go address those. You can address those first, or you can address those while simultaneously taking the serums or the supplements. But once you get yourself to a place of stability, when you stop taking those supplements and you stop taking those serums, yes, you will see shedding anyway, because again, the point and the goal, the mechanism of action of those particular serums and supplements, those specific ones anyway, the ones that activate your anagen phase, is to keep you in anagen, and is to activate you in anagen much quicker than what you normally would have been. So when you stop taking them, yes, they're automatically going to transition you into Catagen, automatically going to transition and from Catagen quickly into Telogen. So yes, the official answer is you're going to see shedding, but will you return to being a beautiful bald-headed baddie? Maybe not. No, because you've treated the underlying condition and your hair can stand on its own. And you're continuing to do all the strategies, or a lot of the strategies that I recommend here on this channel for maintenance and to manage your hair loss. Because here's the thing that everybody needs to understand. When it comes to hair growth and treating hair loss specifically, not just hair growth, but let's talk about treating hair loss and getting hair growth after you've lost your hair for whatever reason. This is going to be a long game. It's a marathon and it never ends. It's the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Like, it's gonna be for the rest of your life until you give up and you're like, I'm done. I'm just gonna be happy being a bald-headed baddie, and I'm just gonna wear my wigs. And if that's you, that's you. And I love you, boo. Like, there's love for everybody. We don't wig shame over here, okay? Because when I'm ready to put my stuff in, ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. But if you do, and then that's another thing. Let me address this. Results. People think that results mean that you're gonna be Rapunzel, okay? That's not what results mean. Results mean, and I have a video, if it hasn't gone up yet, it's gonna go up of talking about genetics. One, your genetics is going to highly impact the type of results that you get. But number two, besides genetics, is that if you were diagnosed with alopecia, any form of non-scarring alopecia, if you're diagnosed with something in particular, like me, for example, I was diagnosed with androgenetic alopecia, aka female pattern baldness, female pattern hair loss. The thing with me is, what makes that androgenetic is that it's basically, it's the miniaturization of my follicle. Over time, my follicles will continue to get thinner, smaller and smaller, my hair will continue to get thinner. What results mean for me is slowing down the progression of that happening. So instead of me just saying, F it, it's over for me, it is what it is, let me just accept it, and then we go into acceleration of me having thinner hair, I am going to do everything that I'm going to do in my power to combat that. I can still have thicker, fuller hair, but will it ever be what it was in my glory days? Maybe not. But it can be in its glory days today, relative to today, and relative to what it could be, God forbid, if I don't treat it. And I can slow down progression so much that I will live, you know, happy with a healthy, full head of hair. It probably just won't be what it's ever been. So just remember that, okay? So I just wanted to get that out the way. I'm gonna jump in right now to talk about the different types of supplements, the different categories of supplements based on the way that they work, their AKA mechanism of action. So like I mentioned before, there's hair growth stimulating supplements. For example, like the Vivisecal, those that keep you in anagen phase, they stimulate the hair growth. You know, they work like minoxidil. They are vasodilators, meaning they widen your blood vessels, increasing the blood flow to the hair follicles, which delivers more oxygen and nutrients to the hair follicles. I'm looking at my notes. Now there's studies. Now, based on what I said, this is still the one that I was just talking about, but I'm just looking at my notes now. Studies have shown that when individuals discontinue use of these particular supplements, etc., then basically it can temporarily increase shedding. However, your density should return to baseline within 24 weeks. Therefore, you know, discontinuing the use of this hair growth stimulating supplement is unlikely to cause hair loss long term. So that is the answer to something like taking oral minoxidil, taking Vivisecal, and other supplements that fall within the hair growth stimulating category. The next type of supplement, okay, are called hormone blocking supplements. Now, there are hormones like DHT that are designed to basically just kill and murder your hair follicle, okay? They suffocate the life out of your hair follicle until your hair follicle is no more. And that DHT is really, really present in people with high testosterone and men. That's why men have male pattern baldness. You'll see a man go, you know, bald in their 20s, etc., because they have high concentrations of DHT, okay? So let me read my notes. Now, hormone blocking supplements, they block your hormones, such as, and these supplements, you have a few of them like oral finasteride or dutasteride. What they do is they stop DHT from doing what DHT does. And when, like I said, DHT comes and they suffocate the life out of your hair follicle, okay? And these supplements are effective for treating androgenetic alopecia, like what I have, a common form of hair loss. Now, studies shown that when people discontinue using hormone blocking supplements, their hair loss may result in underlying hormonal imbalance. Will basically come back, okay? So what this means is, I'm sorry, because I was trying to read it and then I was trying to overview it at the same time. What this means is when you take hormone blocking supplements, if they're blocking DHT from coming in and suffocating your hair follicle till you go bald. So, and I'm being facetious, but when I mean by suffocating your hair follicle, DHT kills your hair follicle so that it makes you bald, because your hair follicle starts like this and DHT comes and just closes it completely till you're clean bald, okay? Clean bald. What DHT blocking supplements does is that it'll stop DHT from working. So this is DHT ready to come and suffocate your hair follicle, and this is the blocker coming in and stopping it. So it's just like, crap, I can't get to the hair follicle. Damn, know what I mean? But the problem with that is you're kind of dependent on that, right? Because when you stop using the blockers, they drop, and guess who's coming back, right? Now, the thing is, right, so that's like the bad news, but the good-ish news is DHT is, especially in women, and men, it's kind of hard, right? Because the problem with men is that DHT is a testosterone derivative. I don't see a man trying to lower his testosterone so he can have a head full of hair. I'm sorry. If I have to choose between a bald head and a you know what, I'm going to choose a bald head and you know what. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody going to mess around with my testosterone, okay? So I don't really recommend DHT blockers for men. I would never recommend this for a man. If you're a man and you have high testosterone and DHT is unfortunately the symptom of your high testosterone, kudos to you, boo, okay? Flex with your bald head and be happy, okay? But for those of you who are like, oh, I want my hair and all of that, do not take a DHT blocker. But women, the good news is that if you have high DHT because you have a hormonal imbalance, a good example of that is PCOS. If you're dealing with PCOS, a lot of times your androgens are going to be high, your testosterone is going to be high, and a lot of times you may have DHT, right? It's almost the inevitable with extremely high testosterone. But if you work on, like I said earlier, the underlying condition, which is that hormonal imbalance, you work with the endocrinologist and you work with your PCP and your dream team and your GYN like I had to, you can stabilize that hormone problem. And that DHT blocker, when you stop using it, because you've already minimized the amount or you mitigated the amount of DHT that you have, it's fine. If anything, you can use the DHT blocker while you're working on mitigating the hormone problem. And when you got the hormones down, now it's safe to stop using the hormone blocker. right? Boom. So I hear the question in my head simply because I hear the question in my head. Well, Beverly, how do I know whether I'm taking I should take a hormone blocker, or how do I know if I should take hair stimulating, hair growth stimulating, which is also the anagen phase activating supplement? Well, you don't know. That's why you should, based on what's best for you, see a dermatologist who can do a biopsy, a scalp evaluation, and figure out what is best for you based on the type of hair loss that you have. That's how you know, right? And then the final one, and again, this is just the top 3. There's always little one-off and outliers and stuff like that, but we'll be here forever. Y'all know I'll be here forever. So I'm trying to give you like the top 3 categories that these supplements fall under. One of the most mainstream ones is the anti-inflammatory supplement, okay? Basically, this supplement does what it says it does, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. It reduces inflammation that is found on the scalp. Like we said, hair loss is an inflammatory response. So one of the best ways to deal with hair loss is by addressing the inflammation, reducing that inflammation. And as a result of reducing that inflammation, you're allowing your follicles to thrive and you're allowing more hair growth, right? So some examples of these anti-inflammatory supplements are like zinc. Another good one is Nutrafol. These basically, like I said, they deal with the inflammation on the scalp. They promote hair loss. They promote hair growth. Now, discontinuing the use of anti-inflammatory supplements may result in a return of inflammation if the inflammation has not been treated. Again, same thing I said before, right? If you're using something that's doing something, let's call it not in a not unnatural or synthetic way, but it's doing it for you and you're not doing it for yourself, whenever you stop taking it, it's going to have that effect, right? So here we go. Same thing with anti-inflammatory. If you're dealing with inflammation systemically throughout your body, address the inflammation. Unfortunately, in some cases, right, like autoimmune disorders, alopecia areata, where it's an inflammatory response where the immune system is attacking the hair follicle, it's a little bit more difficult. And in that case, there's certain things that you do need to do, or you may have to take them forever, certain anti-inflammatories, right? Because this is what you deal with. You're dealing with an autoimmune disorder, or you're dealing with an inflammatory form of alopecia. So you're kind of have to supplement with those anti-inflammatories forever. But if you don't have those type of underlying conditions, you're just dealing with inflammation because you have a poor diet. Maybe you're eating a lot of fast food, you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of things that is going to cause internal inflammation and wreak havoc on your body. If you don't change your nutrition, if you don't change your diet, your lifestyle, how you're eating, if you don't start going into exercise mode and different things that you need to do to improve that, then yeah, you'll be taking those anti-inflammatory vitamins forever, right? So I think it's safe to say that the answer is almost the same for all of them, more for others. And this applies to supplements as well, okay? So no need to create another video on, not supplements, for serums as well. It all depends on how the serum works to grow your hair, and it all depends on the ingredients that the serum uses, okay? So that's the bottom line. It's very important to know the type of hair growth serum that you're using. It's very important to know the type of hair growth supplement that you're using. How does it work to accomplish that goal? And if it's supporting you, or if it's supplementing, which is what the term supplement mean, what do you need to do it on your own to get your body to start doing it so that you don't have to rely on the supplement forever, okay? So yeah, that's me answering that question. I really, really hope it helps. For some of you, finally, will you go all the way back to being bald and all the way back to, if you don't treat the underlying condition, sis, the answer is yes, absolutely. Okay, so I love you. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that. And something else. Help me out, y'all. Help me out. All right, watch the next video. Bye.